The Nasdaq 100 is ready to crash. Well, nah, not really, but it can possibly happen. Not necessarily a crash, but we might see a pullback coming. I've been telling you guys that we are definitely in some critical resistance, and this week's close will be crucial to letting us know how we're gonna end up finishing April. Now, last week's close provided us kind of an indecision doji, and then now this week we ended up getting a little higher than our close last week, but it was a tough time to get there. Y'all saw a huge sell-off that we had on Friday. We ended up rallying to come back and finish off at the same spot that we literally started at. Most of the data that was coming in was pretty much telling us that inflationary data was coming down, but the market still has to react to this, and we're still trying to figure out, okay, which way are we gonna go? Y'all can see that the QQQ is literally still in an uptrend, but we might possibly see a correction coming with us starting to approach resistance. So in this video, we will go over some of the key levels on the QQQ. I'm also gonna go into SPY, because SPY's chart is a little bit different than the Q's. So I want to make sure we go over that. And I got this huge trade that I was able to hit this last week on end phase. So I want to break that down and show you guys my thought process and why I got in and out of that trade. Please don't take any of the advice on this channel as a recommendation. All information on this channel are views of my own and should be used for educational and informational purposes only. So as y'all can see off the weekly chart, we are definitely in an uptrend. Y'all see we're making lower lows. Right, we just hit our lower low here. We're making a higher high here, higher low here, higher high here. So definitely keeping the uptrend intact. But this is what I really want to see, right? I really want to see us get and continue to push past that 320. You guys see we closed here. We couldn't get past that zone on the first week of April, and then now this past week we ended up rejecting it again and coming down. Let's zoom a little closer into the daily level. Y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about. We ended up wicking here. We tried getting that wick and tried pushing upwards here into 320s, and we just couldn't do it. So I would say we're probably going to end up coming back down and possibly retesting 305 or 304, probably keeping our uptrend intact, but we're definitely due for a pullback. So if we can't continue this push, right, we're in this little consolidation area right here. I'm gonna draw this out for you guys. Basically that little area right here. We can continue to bounce around it this week. I don't think we will, though. The reason is that we have earnings coming up. We have a lot of big tech earnings, and we still have the rest of big bank earnings. So what I'm looking for this week is either a nice bullish close up on by pushing past towards 320, possibly getting us up into the 331 zone if we can get that close up there. If we don't, I'm definitely looking forward to us coming back and retesting somewhere in here, possibly this 306 zone, and hopefully we can form some kind of support here and then end up bouncing back up. But as always, man, we don't, you know what I'm saying, we don't predict in these markets really. We just react to what we're being given. But I do have my key zones, right? One of the most important things that you can do is just have your zones already marked out so that you know exactly where you want to get in and out of trades at. I don't think that this 306 zone, 308 zone is real heavy. Like I don't foresee a lot of buyers popping into that level just because of the current market environment, but it can happen, and I don't deem it as critical support. So if we end up getting this, I'd probably look for it to, like, for the triple Qs to make a lower high, and then probably going and making lower lows, possibly coming back down and retesting the 270 area, 275 area. But like I said, that's me being bearish. I clearly see that we're in an uptrend, and that's what I'm looking forward to us seeing. Like I said, we have our levels, and we just want to make sure that we continue going up in this uptrend and knowing where we can possibly bounce from in some of these zones that are coming up, especially with some of the big catalysts that we have. We don't really have any big economic data, so I'm not necessarily too worried about that coming up, but I know that the earnings could have some major implications. Let's move along to the SPY. The SPY is kind of weird because the SPY, we kind of ended up pushing into the 415 zone, and we really haven't broken anywhere from that. You guys can kind of say that we were in a little downtrend, and we might be able to break down, right? We might be able to break down and retest this zone somewhere in the 395 zone. You kind of see how I'm setting up here, mainly because we haven't been shown that it wants to continue higher. I thought that this candle here, right, this huge bullish candle probably would have sent us. It still can, so you might end up, like, instead of looking at something like that, you might be looking at possibly an entry here, using this as your stop loss, and then possibly coming and retesting the 428. So this is definitely something that can end up happening this week. I don't know if it will. Like I said, if earnings comes in and all of a sudden, you know, the market's super bullish on earnings, then we can definitely go crazy with that. So looking forward to this week. I'm definitely looking for us to finally get this close past the 413 zone. If we can get that close past the 413 zone, I would look for us to continue to push higher, probably break through 417 and continue and fill this gap that we got going on here at around 422. So definitely looking forward to that. If we don't and we end up breaking down past 406, I'm definitely leaning bearish, and I probably say we're definitely going to come back and retest 390, possibly 380, and form a triple bottom here. This would be a nice place to get some decent support from and probably find another bounce from that point. So definitely some key levels that we got to watch this week. I'm definitely curious to see exactly how the weekly close is going to come in and what that's going to mean for the rest of May. Basically, you know, April's almost done. We have about a week. We have about 2 weeks left. So this is going to be a pretty big week with earnings kicking off. We got the last week of April, and then obviously May, depending on how we close on the monthly, and these next 2 weeks here in April could have some pretty big implications. So let's move on to my trade that I told y'all, man. I told y'all I nailed this trade this week on end phase, and I'm gonna show you guys why. I'm gonna zoom in here. This is a daily chart. Most of my trades are swing trades. I used to day trade a lot, but honestly, I don't like how inconsistent I was at day trading. Swing trading has been a lot easier for me. It's a lot slower. It's a lot easier to read the charts, and so for me, I really enjoy basically these swing trades. I'm not afraid to hold some of these overnight. Basically, I know where I want to get in at. I know where I want to get out at. I'm keeping my shares small so that I can stay in the play for as long as I need to be. So this is a trade that I saw. I knew that the 189 area was pretty significant. You got from my other video, I told you guys when I made that trade on Southern, I like finding trades where the price action is obvious, right? I like to make sure that I'm buying where price is either going to act like a trampoline or is going to act like a magnet. So I know at this 189 level, right, we rejected off of here, rejected. We've used it as support a couple of times here. So I was like, okay, when I see this 189 zone, I want to see how it's going to react. We ended up getting the wick, and I got that bullish close, which was my confirmation that this stock wants to move from this zone. Ended up taking my trade, stop loss just before it. I didn't really use this 180 zone, even though that wick is there. I kind of felt like, hey, if it ends up rejecting this is a spot where I'm actually really the spot that I like. If you're a long-term investor, I'm waiting for 140. 140 would be my like, I'm loading the bow on M phase if I can get it at 140. I think that's a tremendous price for that company. But like I said, it gave me my confirmation at 189. That is my signal. I entered my trade. Y'all can see I had a $10 per share stop loss, $15 per share gain, 1.5 to 1 ratio. I didn't really wait for it to come back and retest that 213 zone, mainly because of the fact that y'all see we're in a downtrend. So every time that we made a lower low, we ended up making a lower high. So we didn't go back up to retest that top zone. So I'm following that same guide. A lot of times you guys want to find this trade here and take this trade all the way up to the top. But if you're in a downtrend, it's going to end up being a super long trend. I'm not saying that the risk to reward isn't worth it on this trade, but that wasn't my trade on this one. Eventually, I might look for that move, but at the moment, it's showing me that it's still in a downtrend. If we end up getting some consolidation and possibly a break past the 214, 215 zone, then I would look to eye this next level of resistance at 237. But I wasn't going to sit there and try to force myself to stay in a trade that wasn't there. So I ended up taking my profits at 211. Whatever happens next happens next. I could have possibly left some profits on the table, but I'm okay with that. That was my trade. That was my trading plan, and I'm sticking to that. But hey, listen, guys, man. This is your favorite investor. If y'all are enjoying the video, please go ahead and leave a like and subscribe so I can keep on bringing y'all more content, giving y'all some of my trades, why I'm in them, showing y'all levels on the Nasdaq and all that, and helping y'all become better investors and traders. Appreciate y'all for joining me on my journey. But y'all already know, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Peace.